What's up, folkers? Snapzilla Gorilla in the truck. On my way to farmer's market. I gotta hurry up and get back so my wife can go out with her friends. You know, yay. But I get to spend time with my 5 children. You know, I don't know, we might go to the park. Maybe even go to the movies. I'm not sure yet. So what's good with y'all? Just enjoying my weekend so far, thinking about a lot of things, thinking about a lot of shit. Particularly what I've been seeing and hearing about the Bahamas. Okay. Now, last I checked, the death toll in the Bahamas was about 30 people. But the people that live there are saying that, you know, it's going to be much more than that, maybe hundreds of people. You know, so I want to send my thoughts and prayers to the people in the Bahamas. I'll pray that they pull through this and hopefully not too many people have died. But the reality is the Bahamas was practically wiped off the map, by this, what I feel like is a not so natural hurricane that parked itself and just stalled out for a full day at least, maybe 2 days. Didn't move an inch. Is that natural? I don't think so. But it is what it is. There has to come a point where we shut all this shit down. Okay? All the weather warfare, all the tyranny, all the chess moves they make to spread their influence. The same thing happened in Puerto Rico. Same thing happened in New Orleans. Wipe it off the map, displace the people, and then organizations, corporations, and the elite start buying up the property. They know that we know, well, those of us who have some sense know that they can control the weather and do control the weather and can do things to stop hurricanes from causing so much devastation, but yet they choose to steer it and amplify the damage it causes. That tells you the type of mindset these people have, the type of sociopaths they are. They're sociopaths. They're psychopaths and sociopaths, and all they care about is ensuring that their creature comforts are met. They want their they want the children. They want ready access to the children, and they want land. They want resources, all of them. They want all the resources, which is why they're trying to set up their central banks everywhere. And it's not going to be a bank full of money. It's going to be a bank full of resources that people are going to need, and they have to go through them to get it. That also increases their power. Anyway, let's talk about what's going on in the Bahamas right now. People often ask, well, why do you need a gun? Why do you need an AK-47? Why do you need an AR-15? Why do you need this? Why do you need that? Well, there are several reasons. But number one, this will be my number one answer to anybody that I know is an anti-gunner and they ask me that question. None of your goddamn business. I'm a grown-ass man, and if I want a gun, I can by all means get myself a gun and do whatever the fuck I want with it as long as I'm not harming anybody. But today I'm going to tell you there's several reasons, many reasons why someone would want a gun? For sport, for hunting, for self-defense, so that they can have the means to protect themselves and their families in case there is an invasion or the government becomes tyrannical. There are several reasons, many reasons, why one would want a gun and why one would want any arm, any type of weapon that they can use to their advantage. There are many reasons for that, you know? And then there's a simple reason. What if there is a natural disaster and you're left without power and, you know, it's chaos everywhere? The stores are empty because they got raided the day before. But you're not worried about that because you have a wealth of emergency supplies. Well, what if there are people running around in the streets that don't have that same luxury, that didn't think to prepare and to store food and store water, enough water for at least 2 weeks so their family could survive? No help is coming to you. The police aren't there. The police, they're taking care of their own family. The military ain't coming for you. So you have to fend for yourself. So, how do you defend your homestead? How do you make sure that you're able to keep that food and water? Well, you need protection. You need to be able to defend yourself. Cops ain't coming. Military ain't coming. You can't find a doctor. Hospitals are closed down. Airports are shut down. You can't fly out. You can't get to don't try to get in the boat, right, and sail out. No, you got to hold up where you at, and you have to defend what you have. Survival of the fittest. But there are other people in your area, and they didn't prepare, like I said. But they do have weapons. They do have guns. They do have bats and machetes. And they're on the hunt. They're going house to house, scavenging. And if they encounter anyone that does have food, that don't want to give it up, desperate times, desperate measures. You won't find out what type of person you truly are until you're caught in that desperate moment, in that desperate world. Low on food. You haven't had water in hours, not clean water. You don't want to drink the water that's flooding your neighborhood, that's now receding, because guess what? It's nasty, it's dirty. It's washed the streets clean. There's debris, fecal matter, urine, all up in this shit. Dead people's bodies floating around, contaminating the water all over the place. So the only hope you have for clean water are bottled water that's sealed. You got to find it. If you haven't prepared. So now you're at your house with your children and your wife or your husband, and you hear gunshots down the street. Bang, bang, bang. You hear screams of desperation. You hear yelling and animalistic cries. Your heart's beating fast. You wonder, will I be next? How long? When will the chaos reach me? You hear it. The screams trail off. They bled out, or they're bleeding out. There's no more point in screaming. There's no point in screaming anymore. Then what happens? You hear banging in the house next door. You hear people your neighbors that you've known for a long time, that you've come to respect. But as neighbors goes these days, no neighbors are really close, not like they used to be. So they're on their own. Well, that mob just showed up to their house, and they looking for water, for food. Now your heart is practically pounding out of your chest, and you're not wondering anymore. You know that you're next, because even if they find what they want in these houses, it's stealing from these people and murdering people to take from. Even if they find enough to last them weeks on end, they're going to continue to look because they want to stockpile. They don't want to have to do this again. With that knowledge, and with those people next door murdering your neighbors, and with the knowledge that you're next, what do you want to do? What do you want? Because you know your neighbor didn't have a gun. The neighbor next to him didn't have a gun. No weapons. The neighbor next to them didn't have a weapon. So guess what? This mob is used to people not having their own weapons for protection. No gun, nothing. Because guess what? They listen to the mainstream media. They listen to the crooked politicians. They fear guns. They think the gun is going to make you want to kill somebody as soon as you pick it up. No. That murderous intent is already in you. If that's what you want to do, you'll do it. Your neighbor's screams just trailed off as well. They're no more. They're children. No more screams. You hear the pounding of many footsteps approaching your house. Pause right there. Pause it. Now we're going to do a choose your own adventure story. We're going to do a choose your own adventure story. So, you have two choices. One, you choose not to have any firearms to protect yourself or your family. And if you go with this option, that mob is going to run up to your doorstep. And then they're going to kick in that door. Pause. From that point, you have two more options. You run out the back door and hope they don't hear you and leave all your supplies for them to take. Or you sit there with your children and your wife or your husband and you pray they don't find you wherever you're at. You pray they don't find your supply. You pray that they get tired of killing. Or you just want to, hey, here, just take it. Take my supplies. So those are your options. You run, you just hand over your supplies and hope they don't kill you as soon as they see you. Those are your two options. Back to the front yard before they reach the door. There's a second option. You're armed with a semi-automatic rifle with a 30-round magazine. And not only are you armed, your wife's armed with one. 30-round magazine. Right? You each have 5 magazines fully loaded, ready to go, ready to rock. Your teenage son, he has one too. Yes, he does. Because you trained him up. So, your son has a rifle, you have a rifle, and your wife has a rifle. And you all go to the window. You all go to the windows. And behind you, your daughter, who's also a teenager, or maybe a little bit younger, maybe 10 years old or so, she's ready to go with a 22 gauge shotgun because she can handle the kick from a 22 gauge shotgun or a 20 gauge shotgun. So she's ready for forced entry to blast away. And sitting by the couch next to her are two more shotguns, ready for you to fall back and grab in case the first barrage didn't end the threat. All of you are well trained and know the safe use of those firearms. You have no intention, or had no intention when you bought that firearm, to kill anybody. But you knew that you'd be ready and willing to defend yourself and your family. The mob outside, what do they have? Well, one guy has a pistol, maybe two of them. The rest are armed with machetes and bats, knives. The guy with the pistols in front, he's the leader. He has to hold that pistol. And his right-hand man might have the pistol too. Hell, they might even have an AK-47 or an AR-15. Hell, 3 or 4 of them might have it. But guess what? They're mobbing up to a house with no concealment, with no cover. They're fully exposed. They're sitting ducks. Glass breaks. They stop. Black barrels poke out of the windows. Muzzle flashes. Let's say you go with that option. Wise choice. Well, weeks later, or days later, you want to see how everything is going. So you take your family, maybe you yourself and your son, or maybe just you. You walk around, see what's going on, cautiously, not overtly. You find another group of people, and you wait. You hide yourself. You listen to their conversation. And by their conversation, you determine that these people are okay. They're armed too. They're armed. But they sound like they're okay. They sound like that all they want to do is defend themselves and their families and anyone in their sphere of influence. They want to protect them against angry mobs, desperate mobs who want to take from other people and maybe murder them in the process. So you cautiously go up to this group of people and introduce yourself. You have just joined what is known as a militia. So this militia decides they can't allow any more of this looting and this taking from other people. So guess what? They do what the government wouldn't do. They do what the police wouldn't do. They patrol the neighborhoods. They patrol the stores. They protect people. And they ensure that the people in their neighborhood, the good people in their neighborhood, could go on about their lives once everything gets restored, or until they leave their country. Bahamas, September 2019.